Coming up, back to square one in the House Speaker race. Steve Scalise is out.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. It's a busy night. Let's begin with breaking news out of Whitley County. Several agencies are responding to what we're told is a terrible crash tonight on Highway 92. It is just west of Williamsburg and Interstate 75. We understand the coroner is at the scene. Other officials say this is a head-on crash and several medical helicopters were called in to assist with injuries. We are working to learn more about this crash and we'll keep you updated here and on WYMT.com. A stretch of Interstate 75 is back open in Rockcastle County. The sheriff says they responded to a crash there at the 54-mile marker earlier this evening that caused a major traffic backup. It involved a pickup truck towing a camper trailer. The passenger, we understand, was flown to the hospital. Their condition is not known. The driver suffered minor injuries, and fire officials say one person was arrested. It's not known what the charges are. Now to a developing story on Capitol Hill. Congressman Steve Scalise has dropped out of the race to become House Speaker in a sign that divisions are intensifying among House Republicans. The House has been without a leader for more than a week now after Kevin McCarthy was ousted by hardliners. CBS's Natalie Brand has the new developments.
I'm withdrawing my name as a candidate for the Speaker designee.
Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise making that decision Thursday night after a day of closed-door meetings with his colleagues.
Our conference still has to come together and is not there. There are still some people that have their own agendas, and I was very clear. We have to have everybody put their agendas on the side and focus on what this country needs.
On Wednesday, Scalise narrowly defeated Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan during a secret ballot vote among House Republicans to select a speaker. But 24 hours later, it was clear divisions remained, with Scalise still short of the votes needed to get elected on the House floor.
He worked today, felt as though he wasn't going to be able to get there. He's going to still be our majority leader. I've been in that exact same position that he was back in 2015.
It's unclear what happens next, and for now, business in the U.S. House remains on hold. Foreign Affairs Committee Chair Michael McCall calls the GOP infighting a dangerous game.
Our adversaries are watching us, and Israel is watching. They need our help.
This House of Representatives needs a speaker, and we need to open up the House again.
Majority Leader Scalise, the number 2 Republican, says he's going to push to make that happen as quickly as possible. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The vacant House Speaker spot is in the way of lawmakers reaching an agreement to fund the government or face the threat of a federal shutdown in about a month.
Well, we are tracking some mild temperatures across the mountains as we close out your Thursday, and more warm weather is on the way on Friday. Temperatures at this hour in the upper 50s and even middle 60s in some areas, up to 66 in Jackson, also Pikeville, 57 for Hazard, up to 58 for London. So again, we stay not as cool as we go into tonight. Lows in the upper 40s and lower 50s as you wake up on Friday. And once again, more warm weather is on the way on Friday. Highs back in the upper 70s and lower 80s. And again, we do stay dry as we go into tonight, all thanks to high pressure. But as we zoom out, notice we are tracking our next weather system, producing some showers and storms over Nebraska, also Kansas tonight. And that will bring our next rain chance by late Friday, also into this weekend. But some nice weather is on the way on Friday. Once again, we stay dry and mainly sunny, and those temperatures back in the upper 70s and lower 80s. But changes on the way by this weekend. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. After days of large-scale Israeli airstrikes, the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip is heading toward a humanitarian crisis. The siege, which has killed more than 1,500 people, comes after last weekend's Hamas attack on southern Israel killed more than 1,200. It was the largest loss of Jewish life in a single day since the Holocaust. CBS's Skylar Henry has the latest from Washington.
Israel says it will block deliveries of food, fuel, and medicine into Gaza until Hamas frees more than 100 hostages taken during the horrific attack on Israel. The morgue at Gaza's biggest hospital overflowed as the death toll surged after 6 days of Israeli airstrikes.
The United States stands with Israel and with its people. Today, tomorrow, every day.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu welcomed U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who came in a show of support.
President Biden was absolutely correct in calling this sheer evil.
Blinken visited a Tel Aviv donation center. A couple told him how they survived Hamas's deadly attack on a music festival.
We were saved by miracle, but there are friends that we love that weren't, that aren't.
The Biden administration says the safety of Americans stuck in Israel is a top priority. The U.S. plans to arrange evacuation flights starting this Friday. Dr. Ron Lobel told CBS News' Nora O'Donnell that he saw not only the horrors of Hamas in the hospital where he works, but also at his home near Gaza.
I'm wondering what you think about the amount of time it took for the Israeli forces to respond.
I can't even understand, because when a bird hits the fence, there is an alarm. We know about it. When a donkey touches the fence, the alarm is set. When somebody gets close to the fence, there are automatic weapons that start shooting. Nothing of that happened.
Now, as Israel prepares for a possible ground war in Gaza, civilians and soldiers from last weekend's terror are still being laid to rest. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released a very disturbing photo of a baby he says was killed by Hamas terrorists. Members of one church in our region and others gathered this evening to pray for the situation in Israel. WYMT's Madison Carmouche was with them in Harlan County.
Nestled in the mountains of Harlan County was a group praying for peace.
Scripture tells us in Psalm 122, verse 6 through verse 8, says, "Pray for the peace of Jerusalem."
Harlan Mission Outreach wanted to lift up the people in Israel.
Well, because God hears all prayers, and whether we're in America or we're in Israel or somewhere else, it's the same God, and He hears our prayers no matter where we're at.
The group says it was important that everyone understood this was a prayer call for all, not one side or another.
And it breaks our hearts to see what's going on right now over there. And it breaks our hearts for both sides because we know there's innocent people on both sides of this fight.
Hadassah Weiner is Jewish and says after hearing about the war, she needed somewhere in her local community to fellowship with others.
And I am overwhelmed, with the welcoming and the love and kindness of everybody. I love you. The love and kindness of, of everyone here. It's a very special city, so I'm very happy to be here in Harlan.
Mosley Fugit encourages anyone watching to also pray.
Pray for Israel, pray for the Jewish people, both in the United States, in Israel, and all across the world. They all need it right now.
In Harlan County, Madison Carmouche, WYMT Mountain News.
Pastor Daniel says he's grateful for those who came out and lifted Israel up in prayer tonight. Before the Broncos and Chiefs Thursday night football game, there was a moment of silence to honor the lives lost in the Middle East conflict, including now 27 Americans confirmed dead. Then there was a familiar face singing the Star-Spangled Banner.
O'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
What a voice. That's, of course, Harlan County native and Season 9 winner of The Voice, Jordan Smith, singing the national anthem. He posted on social media before the game. It was an honor to do it. Police from numerous departments came together today at North Laurel High School for training. Police went over procedures and plans for active shooter situations. Emergency management and EMS were also there. Officials say they want to make sure their plans for disaster and weather-related events are up to date.
It's the unknown, and you look at the history of school shooters. You know, they show up to die and kill as many as they can.
Laurel County Schools has their own police force, which places officers in every school. The Phelps Fire Department said goodbye to one of its long-running members today. Jeffrey Dean Lester, who was known as Big Sid, created a legacy of love and service during his nearly 4 decades as a first responder. A large man with a large heart whose loved ones say will forever be remembered for his service and selflessness.
You know, we all depended on Sid because he was a great EMT, you know, big jokester. He loved to do a good prank, and it's going to be hard without knowing that he's not here no more.
The department held a final ride for Big Sid this afternoon, allowing the community to line the road and pay their respects. Folks in Pike County are also remembering a retired district judge. Kelsey Fen Jr. died yesterday at Pikeville Medical Center. He was also a former state representative and a founding member of the New Beginnings Fellowship Church. The visitation will be on Friday at 6 p.m. at the Lucas & Son Funeral Home in Pikeville. There will also be a church service there at 7. The funeral is Saturday at 11 a.m. at the New Beginnings Fellowship Church. Kelsey Fen Jr. was 77 years old. Last December, a riot at the Adair Youth Development Center brought the condition of those types of facilities into the statewide spotlight. This afternoon in Frankfort, the Legislative Oversight and Investigations Committee held a hearing about the facility's current conditions. Jessica Umbro was there.
Kerry Harvey of the Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet focused Thursday afternoon on what he says are improvements in the Adair Youth Detention Center's conditions compared to when a riot took place at the facility late last year.
I think they're doing a really remarkable job, and I think they're making great improvements.
However, things took a turn when Lauren Beeger Hunter, directing attorney at the Department of Public Advocacy's Glasgow office, presented allegations of mistreatment at the facility.
What we are finding in these records is there is no due process hearing, and the automatic sanction that is given is isolation.
Witnesses from the Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet and the Department of Juvenile Justice were given an opportunity to respond to the claims made by the Department of Public Advocacy. They said that they were caught off guard by the allegations and denied them.
I don't know that there's a way that we can respond to all these specifics because we had no notice of this presentation.
I'm very surprised to hear that information given, because that's certainly not my understanding at all.
But they do say that isolating juveniles will be used when it means keeping others safe.
Nobody wants any youth or anybody to be isolated. But if that's what you have to do to try to preserve safety, I mean, what else can you do?
In Frankfort, Jessica Umbro, WKYT.
Hazard Community and Technical College was awarded a more than $2 million grant. It's through a Department of Education program that aims to strengthen schools that serve primarily low-income communities. Officials say this will add 6 new jobs and expand the offices of retention services and sponsored projects. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, we'll do some fact-checking concerning claims about jobs in the race for governor.
Plus, we are tracking rain chances to return by this weekend. Those details coming up.